controversial book today. Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. If you're gay and you read books, you've heard of Ashley Herring Blake. I have also read several of her books. I've read the whole Bright Falls trilogy, and I've read Ivy Aberdeen's A Letter to the World. I liked all those books, so I like Ashley Herring Blake. Some people worship the ground she walks on as like the greatest lesbian author contemporary right now. I'm not that invested. I don't know anything about her personally. But I do like her books, and I do think she has some other gay middle grade novels out that I would like to read, and I'll get around to at some point. But people don't love this one. Maybe that's mean. This does have a 3.63 average star rating on Goodreads, which is pretty decent. But the Goodreads page for this, the first page of reviews, the highest score is 3 stars. And I think there's only one 3-star review. All of the other top reviews of this book are like 1 and 2 stars. So people don't like this book. I did. I liked it. Sue me. This is a Christmas novel, Christmas holiday romance about 2 musicians who broke up. I say broke up. Here's where people don't like. One of them left the other at the altar 5 years ago, and then they get back together. And a lot of the reviews are like, no. If you leave me at the altar, I'm not forgiving you. Which, valid. In real life, yeah, that's kind of a red flag. But in this book, honestly, they had great chemistry. I'm gonna say it. I actually really like these books. These are 2 of my some of my favorite characters from Ashley Herring Blake. Or at least like in terms of romance. I like Charlotte as a character more than I like Brighton. Brighton's the one who left Charlotte at the altar. But I think these 2 actually had a lot of chemistry. I think the history between them like works really well. They haven't spoken in 5 years. They live in different cities. They end up at like a friend's house. They're both friends with someone, and those 2 are siblings. I don't know why this is so convoluted. But they end up going to Christmas at their friend's parents' house, and then they discover that their friends are siblings. And so they're both on this holiday retreat. And there's like a dating, it's not speed dating, but it's like a dating retreat, a dating holiday retreat that gets hosted every year in this town that the mom they're staying with makes them all sign up for. I don't know why I said that so convolutedly. I don't know why it's kind of convoluted and weird. I think this is actually kind of a good thing, maybe. The Christmas dating event plot, not that important to the plot, or like not that big of an aspect of a plot. Like if this was a Hallmark movie, those like dating events would be like 80% of the book. But like the actual like intricacies of the events. Like they go horseback riding, there's like a speed dating cookie decorating event. They go skiing. That would be like 80% of the book. It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't fucking matter. That's just sort of background. That's just like a way to have a setting for this thing. I mean, it does like play in. Like one of them is scared of horses, so on the horseback ride, like the other one like helps her because she knows she's scared of horses. At first, they pretend not to know each other. Their friends don't know their past because they don't want to talk about this terrible breakup. But again, like the chemistry between them is good. They have a good solid like foundational relationship. They've been friends since they were 12. They really know each other very well. They're both into music. Charlotte is a violinist in New York, and Brighton is a aspiring singer-songwriter who was in a band, but then they dumped her and now she's solo. So they have a lot in common. The reason the leaving at the altar is forgivable for me is that it was a stupid fucking reason to leave someone at the altar. I'm gonna get into it because I can. But basically, they were living in New York, and Charlotte's being a successful violinist, but Brighton isn't getting her big break, And so she like feels out of place. She doesn't like New York. And she kind of tries to tell Charlotte this. But like she like sort of brings it up, but she doesn't like fully express her full feelings on the subject. And when Charlotte's like, it's okay, we've only been here 6 months, let's give it time, which is a pretty reasonable response, to be honest. And then Brighton just like fucking leaves her at the altar. But it's like they have sex that morning. The morning of their wedding, they have sex, and then they kind of talk about this. And Brighton's like, nope, she just said, oh, let's just wait and see. That's not good enough for me. I can't do it, so I'm just gonna bail and not talk to her for 5 years. Which is dumb. It's dumb. But that's like a dumb reason to break up. So, like when they got back together, that made more sense than the breakup did. So it's not like, I don't know, Brighton cheated on her and it ruined the wedding. And I don't know, like they love each other. Brighton dumped her because she wanted Charlotte to be happy in New York. She should have just talked about it. I don't know why she couldn't fully communicate. I do, because she mentions that her mom just like kind of reads her emotions. Like her mom knows her so well that she doesn't have to say everything on her mind for her mom to understand. But no one's a fucking mind reader. Like your wife's not a fucking mind reader. Like just say what you mean. Like just have a fully serious conversation and like stress how important this is to you. I don't think that this should be hard. They were like 25 when they were gonna get married. Maybe they were 22. They're kind of young. They're not that young. They've known each other forever. Just talk to your best friend. That is kind of dumb. But anyway, whatever. I forgave it. They were cute together. Because, like, you can tell they're supposed to be together. And, like, Brighton's tried to date around, but never found anyone. And Charlotte hasn't been with anyone else ever in her entire life. And in the absence, she's just focused on her music and becomes kind of reserved and, like, doesn't date. And just... They're literally meant for each other. They're very much soulmates. I really like them together. They have great chemistry. And a great history. And I think Ashley Herring Blake is a good writer that does those emotions well. I think she's a good character writer, even though like you don't like love Brighton, or a lot of people don't love Brighton. I did find Charlotte really interesting, and I think just like, I don't know, something about the way she writes connections feels very realistic in a very compelling way. That's well done. I took notes. Let's see what my notes say. More spoilers. There is a dumb third act breakup, which is stupid. Like they get together, like they sort of connect on the trip again, and they sort of make a plan to start over and like get to know each other again. And at first they're gonna be friends, but obviously the chemistry is too strong and there is spice and some explicit scenes. But they have good chemistry. They're well done. I liked that section of the book where they get together and basically they fall in love again. But then there's a really fucking stupid third act breakup where Charlotte's like, oh, but I have to go back to New York. Brighton won't be happy, so I have to leave her so she can go be happy, even though she's happy with you. And they... whatever. And again, they don't like talk about this. Charlotte just fucking leaves. So I guess this time Charlotte is the one to leave, and that's how it's different. They also act like their mistakes were proportional. Like leaving someone at the altar is the same as not reading someone's mind. I should have read your mind, sweetie. Like Charlotte mentions that she did kind of know that Brighton was unhappy and like didn't really fully talk about it with her. But Brighton didn't mention it. And I mean, they were only living there 6 months. I do think it's reasonable to assume that you just have to adjust. Like you just haven't found your place here yet. It's only been 6 months. Like give it a bit more time. And if you're really feeling that bad, like maybe say something. But anyway, Charlotte is like, yeah, I'm so sorry that I didn't read your mind and talk about it with you more. And then Brighton apologizes for leaving, I suppose. I mean, she does. Whatever. I guess that's supposed to be representative of Charlotte leaving this time. And then they're like sort of balanced out where they both left each other. But then, whatever, they get back together. after some time. It's a dumb third act breakup that gets resolved pretty quickly, where Charlotte goes to Nashville to visit Brighton and is basically like, yeah, I missed you. And then sort of low-key, not quite, but sort of proposes marriage. Like says, like, I want to be with you, like, you're the woman I want to marry someday. That was dumb. Like, that should have been Brighton. Like, for the rule of fucking bookends or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if Brighton left the first time and then Charlotte left the second time, Charlotte wanted to get married the first time and then Brighton wanted to get married the second time, you'd think. But no, it's Charlotte who sort of proposes then, and then there's an epilogue scene where she literally does propose. Now, first I thought it was Brighton proposing, but no, it's Charlotte proposing again. Brighton should have proposed. Should have been like, I know I left you at the altar, but this time I'm committed. I want to marry you. I'm going to stick around. Here's your ring. But no, it's Charlotte proposing. I didn't like that. That was such a missed opportunity. That's such an obvious full circle resolution. I talked about the retreat not being really part of the plot. Like, it doesn't matter. It does feel a little underutilized. I mean, I guess it's not. Like, everything leads to something. Like, the horse thing leads to something. Someone gets hurt while skiing, and then they help each other. And they have to go to this cabin when they're skiing, and then they get snowed in, and they get stuck in a room together. It's fun. So all those things lead to things, but it still feels sort of underutilized. But also, like, I didn't care, because I don't care about this dumb dating event. I care about the relationship between the characters getting together. So it wasn't, like, that much of a flaw that the dating event wasn't that important, because no one gives a fuck about the dating event. There's sort of a subplot early on where Charlotte meets this guy, Wes, and they kind of connect right away. More platonically. They're both obviously interested in other people. But they sort of find each other cute, and they sort of flirt, and then they come up with a scheme to flirt with each other to make their respective partners jealous. And they do that for a little bit, and then they just kind of stop. I don't know, Brighton gets jealous like one time, and they're like, okay, that's enough, and then they just don't do that again. I don't know, the flirting with Wes thing felt underutilized. Felt like there should have been a bigger moment of Brighton being like, so do you really like this guy? Or like, are you seeing this guy? Like, I don't like seeing you with this man. Like, where they talk about their feelings, they don't do that. It gets brought up, like, for a second, and it's just not that big a deal. Which is fine, I guess, because again, I don't really care about Wes. I didn't really care about any of these side characters. There's a couple that are funny. Charlotte's in a quartet. There's like a funny gay guy. Is he gay? I think he's gay. He might be bi. Whatever. There's a funny queer guy. And then there's her best friend's non-binary. So there's non-binary rep. But I didn't care about any of these people. Which again was fine, because the main purpose of the book is the relationship between the two leads, which I did like and did care about. So that's fine. But I guess it could have been a nice bonus to really care about the side characters. There's like one side romance that I think you're supposed to care about, but I didn't care. Sloane and some man. Was it Wes? Maybe it was Wes. I don't even remember. See, I don't care. So maybe not like the most exceptional writing, right? Not the most exceptional structuring with the setting or side character development. I did write down one line that I didn't like. This is paraphrased, but it says, it was during a sex scene. Her need reached crisis level, but she wasn't in a hurry to resolve her own need, because she was focused on the other woman. But it's like, if it's crisis levels, you would be in a hurry. So maybe it's not actually crisis level. Maybe like we could have picked a different word there. And then I wrote, like, what is this US climate change policy? Like, we're in a crisis, but we're not going to do anything about it. But yeah, that was just a weird contradicting line. But anyway. Oh yeah. I did say one other thing about the friends here. Charlotte's friend, was it Elle? I don't even remember who she's talking to her, because I didn't care about the side characters. But Charlotte's never told anyone that she got left at the altar, because I guess she's ashamed of it. doesn't want to relive that moment of her life. But I guess I'm just gonna say it's L. I actually don't remember if it's L. Let's say it's L. Who's in her quartet. Her quartet views Charlotte as sort of cold. She's very reserved because of this event with Brighton that they don't know about. They have no idea Brighton exists. They have no idea she was engaged. They have no idea she got dumped at the altar. They don't really know a lot about her. They want to. Like, they make an effort to get to know her, but she's just sort of a closed-off person. But then Elle finds out that Charlotte had this ex-fiance. They're, like, mad that Charlotte didn't tell them that. And it's like, you're not entitled to your friend's love life. Because, like they go on a rampage. They're like, I've made such an effort to get to know you. You know, we've worked together for years, and I've tried to be your friend, and I invited you to on this retreat with me, and you just don't give me anything. You don't tell me anything. It's like, you're not entitled to her life story. Like, she didn't make you invite her on this trip. She didn't even really want to go on the trip. Like, she felt like she had to. She was just gonna spend Christmas alone, like she always does, because she has a December curse that doesn't matter. She's convinced December's out to get her because of several things that have happened, including being left at the altar in December. So anyway, so she doesn't even want to go. Maybe, like, she just doesn't really want to be your fucking friend. Maybe you're trying for no reason. Like, she didn't ask you to try to get to know her and connect with her. Like, you just did that on your own because you wanted that. Charlotte didn't say she wanted that. So, like, fuck off, maybe? And then Brighton has a friend. Is this Sloane? I think this character's name is Sloane. Brighton ends up telling Sloane about the altar incident. Brighton's like, I left her. It wasn't the other way around. I left her. And her friend Sloane is like, but did you? Is it really your fault? Saying that Charlotte should have read her mind and talked to her more. And Brighton's like, yeah, she should have read my mind. Sloane, fuck off. All of you can fuck off. And then Sloane tried to say that Charlotte was in the wrong after being left at the altar for not chasing Brighton. Like, she should have chased Brighton down on the day that Brighton left her at the altar. And it's Charlotte's fault for not wanting it enough and not pursuing it and not trying hard enough. That's a take. That's a take, Sloane. Interesting. So I didn't like that. But I mostly like this book, to be honest. I do think it was mostly well written. And I like the main characters. Or I like the relationship. I guess I don't really care about Brighton. I like Charlotte. She's cool. She looks cool on the cover. She has, like, prematurely gray hair, which is just an interesting character trait. There's a cool thing about names in this book. So Charlotte is the daughter of a famous writer named Anne Donovan, who got pregnant after a one-night stand and just thought, maybe I'll try raising a human, and then she wasn't a very good mother. She's sort of very absent. And so Charlotte doesn't have a middle name. She's just sort of Charlotte Donovan. There's a thing where sometimes she's called Anne Donovan's daughter, and sometimes she's called Charlotte, and then sometimes she's called Lola, which is Brighton's nickname for her that she gives her when they're kids. So whatever use of Charlotte's name is sort of indicative of relationship status or the mood or the tone or whatever role Charlotte is sort of supposed to be playing in that moment. The language is very powerful, where at first Charlotte doesn't want to be called Lola by Brighton because it's still too raw, it's too personal. She's like, you better call me Charlotte now, which hurts Brighton because that's Lola. And then Charlotte doesn't have a middle name, and Brighton ends up giving her a middle name, Rosalind, after her violin. And her quartet is named the Rosalind Quartet. So this is like an important name for her. And so Brighton gives her that middle name. And that's sort of loving in a way. I suppose that something metaphor indicative of healing, antithesis to her mother giving her the last name Donovan and that being her identity and sort of the legacy of her mother, and instead she gets her own name that she kind of gets to choose. It's after a character in Shakespeare. I don't read Shakespeare. Fuck Shakespeare. And then a couple other things or something. Whatever. After her violin and like this thing that's important to her. So that's cute. And there's a lot of like cute moments where Brighton calls her Lola when she should call her Charlotte, and it shows like a level of vulnerability. So like there's a cute things with names in this book. And Charlotte calls Brighton Bright sometimes, which is a reference to the title. And also I'm going to guess the Bright Falls series. I think Ashley Herring Blake really likes the word bright. Okay. I think that's most of what I wanted to say. I also wrote down one of the Goodreads reviews mentioned that not every sex scene needs to have the word the good girl in it. So then every time one of the sex scenes came up, I laughed when they said good girl every time. That was funny. Some of the reviews for this book were funny. Reasons I would forgive you for leaving me at the altar. You get kidnapped, you are actively dying and on the way to the hospital. May this type of love never find me. This is a good Goodreads page for a laugh. I know Goodreads is like Amazon sponsored and not ethical, but this is a funny page to visit on the internet. But I actually like this one. The Bright Falls trilogy, my favorite was Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. I don't even really remember Delilah and Iris that well. Like, they were good books, but they're not like my favorite books of all time. Some people really, really love those books. I think they're good, but they're just sort of forgettable romance to me. Although I do think they're better than average written. Like, it's better than average writing. And I really liked Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World as like a middle grade novel with like message and meaning. I definitely want to read more of her middle grade novels. So this one, honestly, this might be my favorite. Maybe Astrid Parker was better. This is up there. I'm gonna put this above Delilah, I think. Delilah was good. I don't know. They're all sort of up there. This wasn't a miss for me. It's like some people love the Bright Falls series and hate this book, but I think it's up there just fine. It's sort of a lot of the same things. Cute romance, spice, lesbians, very gay. So is this good? Yeah, I think it's a good book. I think it's pretty good. It's not perfect. There's little flaws, there's little things I could nitpick, but overall, I very much enjoyed it. Do I recommend it? Sure, I recommend it. Did I give this 5 stars? I gave this 5 stars. I think it's like a 4.5 stars. Definitely between 4 and 5. Yeah, 5's a little high. I think I gave it 4.5 and I rounded up. But I like the book. It's a good seasonal book. I read it in February because that's how long it took my library hold to come through. I liked it. Hate me if you want. Tell me what you hated about it in the comments. Tell me if you liked it. Rank your Ashley Herring Blake books. I don't know. That's my outro.